I feel indeed very honored to be part of your School of Ancient Wisdom. And thank you for inviting me to speak on dance and divinity, which is very close to my heart. And I must appreciate what you're doing in your school, and maybe I'll get an opportunity to come and visit you. Now, when I begin to talk uh, about dance and divinity, I would say dance itself is divine. And dance and divinity, the topic is very varied. So what I'm going to do is that I will concise and try to tell you the in appreciation of this art. Now, the classical art forms in India, they have come, all of them have come with a purpose in the very early centuries. The date is not yet known, but it came very long time ago. And it is Natya Veda, as we call it, or the fifth Veda after the four Vedas done by Brahma. The fifth Veda was done by Lord Shiva. And this was done with a purpose, because all the celestial bodies who are very pious and Deva Purushas and Devis also had their own little desires and their own little mind ability to get distracted. So this dance, this particular fifth Veda or the Natya Veda was danced out by Lord Shiva and Parvati in front of them so they can imbibe. It's not only for entertainment, although we have brought it down to entertainment today, but it is not for entertainment. It is for complete, there is a purpose of discipline. It's specially structured that way. So then came, of course, the Lord Shiva. I don't know how many of you know that he demonstrated 108 Karanas. And the most of the Karanas you can see in the temple precincts. But the Karanas, as you think, they are dynamic postures. They are not just simply postures. Like if you recollect at least one sculpture that you might have seen in the temple, which has got the three-dimensional effect. It is not only three dimensions, it's got your body itself is divided into three parts. And that is what we call it a dynamic posture. So although you feel it's a sculpture, it's not a sculpture. It's actually a dynamic pose and a dynamic movement. This is the 108 Karanas. Today we are not able to practice them all because it needs a special technique. Your mind has to be shuddhi, your heart has to be suddham, there has to be purity, there has to be piousness, there has to be innumerable number of divine things for us to practice it. But having said this, later on, we had Bharata Muni. The records that we can think of is only 2nd century BC. I'm not very sure of the date, but I go by the records. And Bharata Muni wrote a treatise on dramaturgy that we call the Natya Shastra. Now, what we dance today is also a bit diluted, but the foundation is Natya Shastra. And Natya Shastra has got every description of how a dancer should be, what the dance should be, how it should be exposed, and the qualities of the rasikas, in the sense, the quality of the spectators. Now, later, that is first for celestial bodies, that is the origin of it. Then came Bharata Muni's treatise on the dramaturgy. Then we can only trace it in the practice of dance in the temples. So after the Dipardhana, after the Aarti, every time the Devadasis, they danced. When I say Devadasis, it is not to be interpreted in the modern terminology as the Devadasi, but she was the divine Sumangali. We used to call her, she's known as Nitya Sumangali. Nitya Sumangali is a permanent Suhagan who is wedded to God. And she only danced in prayer to God. Now, having said all this, we can sort of arrive at a conclusion that dance cannot be isolated from divinity. because it is meant to be a prayer, in the form of prayer. Now, every dancer experiences an innermost core of bhakti while performing this beautiful art form, not because the theme is divine, but the entire process. I would connect you to music first, because there is no dance without music. So when I say that there is no dance without music, then we have to think of the swaras, the 7 swaras. I'm not going to go into details, but the sapta swara, sarigama padanisa, padani. So when you have the sapta swara, the 7 swaras of music touches the 7 nerve centers in the body. You can experiment it yourself. Actually, you can actually do it yourself, that you talk about it and you sing your sarigama padanisa and do it like a riyaz or a practice. You will understand that it is so well connected with the 7 centers of your body, nerve centers of your body. The nerve centers invokes the 7 chakras. Now, you can, if I go into detail of chakras, then it will take me another 2 days to explain, but I'm not going to do that. But I'm sure that you will have reference books to check on that. So it goes into 7 chakras of the body, invoking again different emotions. Like you have, for example, I'll just take one chakra, for example, I would say the chakra of the heart. The chakra of the heart holds emotions. It has all different kinds of emotions, and also you have that longing. The longing is the block, emotion is reality for the chakra. So when you dance, this longing goes away because it's very humane and very mundane. And what remains is not the longing, but the emotion of compassion and karuna. That's why we say, please be kind. Please, use your heart. That connects to compassion, and it's compassion. Karuna is a Sanskrit word for that. So when you have compassion, you know how to react. And through that emotion, how do I make it divine in dance? Because when I experience the emotion, the rasas, the different moods and shades of rasas, I experience when I dance. And towards whom? Towards the Lord. So when that emotion, that chakra gets touched, your emotion blossoms and it gets sublimated. When I say sublimated, for a man, today we are in a world where we are only because we failed to sublimate our emotions. We failed to make it a divine experience. It's only because of that we are where we are today. But dance brings you back to that, because every limb in your body has an emotional quality. Now, suppose I may not be able to be very visible, but suppose I do this. My entire limb, my hand, my arms, and the joints, everything has to move. And when it moves, I also move. And my eye also moves. And my body. I'll show you when I demonstrate a dance, you will understand how it goes. So every limb has got an emotional quality. And so every adavu, every step that a dancer takes also has an emotional quality. So every aspect of it has got a mood. So in dance in particular, when you experience all these rasas, and not just like what we human beings experience, the moods and the emotions, but rasas rasas divine in nature, rasas that invokes kindness in me, happiness in me. That is what I want. So when that gets evoked, what happens to me? Even if I cry, like, in Ramayana, you have Sita, the main character. And when Rama announces that he's going to go to the forest for 14 years, she sheds just 2 drops of tears. That's what Kambaramayana says. The reason is that she is a royal queen. Even her emotions are so controlled. She cannot beat her chest and cry. That is very human. That's very mundane. The royalty is, even her emotions are so dignified. Why are they dignified? Because they are divine. They belong to the celestial beings. That's one example. Then you have the Sthayi Bhava. When you do the dance, we normally have something called Sthayi Bhava, which is a permanent mood of the dancer who establishes according to the theme. Then you go to the Vyabhikari Bhava, which is multi-dimensional moods which get connected to the main mood, the main mood of the dancer. Now, life, the whole dancer's life, if you take by itself, is her projection of life. And a dancer is a worshipper. She's a worshipper who lives in the essence of the divine and the ultimate state of self-realization. You may ask me this question, are all dancers self-realized? The answer is no. But I would like to narrate some experience of mine, which my experience with dance is very unique. Because when I started to dance, I was 5 years old, and I gave it up when I was 12, not even 12, less than 12, because I developed a pain in my legs, and also I developed a kind of a bone growth in my feet. So the doctors told me, my parents were very concerned, of course, said for a girl, legs are very important, dance is not. So they told me that we have to stop you from dancing. So they took me to a doctor and he said that I don't think you can ever dance in your life because this bone growth is not good for you unless we surgically remove it. So as a child, I didn't know how to react. I said, okay, but I think there was something in my subconscious which was constantly bothering me, which was telling me that no, I should not be listening to this, I should be dancing. But my parents wouldn't let me. But when as like any other obedient Indian girl, I listened to my parents, I got married, and I pushed off to Gulf. When I went to Gulf, it came as a total shock to me, because I'm talking about the Gulf in the 70s and the 80s, where there was nothing, absolutely nothing, leave alone dance or art or anything of that kind. So I said I dreamt looking at the sand dunes, I would dream. And looking at the camels, I would think, oh my God, I wish they were horses and I could just ride on it and go back to India. So I said, that passion for India, that longing I had to merge with my country, with my soil and with my people was so intense. But I think God always has a way to answer. After 20 years of my life, I bounced back to dancing, not because I was able to, I just did it overnight. It didn't happen like that. But once I decided that in this desert land, I'm going to bring art into this land. It was not easy, trust me. The Arabs have their own mindsets, which I agree, because it's their country and their philosophy. But I fought a battle, actually. I said, I'm going to run these events. I'm going to run Festival of India, which I started in 1984, 85. And there was no stopping for me. So in 1990, I would say, so after so many years, I met my old teacher, my old dance teacher, and he told me, what are you doing here? in this country. You should be in India dancing. I said, no, I don't dance anymore. I don't dance anymore. I left dancing. I don't even know what it means anymore. So I don't know whether I'll ever be able to get back to it. So that night, he started my class all over again. And I said to myself that I'm going to pray to Lord Nataraja, whatever may happen. I said, I shall come to your sanctorium and dance for 2 hours non-stop. This is my promise. And trust me, till today, I have not looked back. And when I got an offer to perform, I didn't restart dancing for performing on the stage. I restarted dancing to fulfill my passion. But the luck would have it that every 2 months, I would be invited to perform somewhere. And I would be very nervous because I'm competing in a field where people are veterans. They have been dancing for 30 years. And here I've just started. So when that was happening, the great experience I had, I must share it with you, was in Lord Padmanabha Swami Temple in Trivandrum. When I went there, when I was invited for that, only one dancer is allowed to dance during that Navaratri celebration. So I don't know who gave them my name. I have no idea. So when they invited me, I said, I live in Muscat. So they said, but we know, but you can always fly to India to dance for us. I said, all right, let me take it up as a challenge. And it is only Swavit Tirunals numbers that you are supposed to do. And I don't know a single one of that. It took me, I practiced for 8 hours a day, 3 days. I finished learning all the numbers and I went to the temple and I broke down. I was in tears. I said, this is me. This is where I belong. And when I started to dance, I felt, oh, my legs. You think I can move my legs? You think I can move my ankles? You think I can move my back? Is my body fit enough to dance? I don't know. There were a number of questions that came to my head. And that whole temple precincts was so serene and so divine. I tell you, I forgot who I was. I forgot my body. I forgot I even existed. It was my merging of myself into the Saraswati. The goddess was a presiding deity there. On that particular day, because it was Navratri. So after I finished that, I tell you, trust me, my friends, I cry sometimes thinking of that. I started performing at least 15 days in a month. I would be busy. I would be a performing artist, and there was no leg pain. There was no body pain. There was no pain whatsoever. And till today, I'm able to dance. That is Nataraja's blessing for me. And this narration I did just to share with you that how when you dance with passion, when you dance only for him, even if you're dancing on the stage, you're not dancing for the people, you're dancing for him or for her. And they take control of your performance. And there were days when I used to, for a woman, it's not easy because we have to leave our family, we have our children, we have 100 different things to look after. And dance is a single-minded dedication. It's not like going to work, going to office and coming back and cooking and taking care of your family. It is a 24 hours mental sadhana. It becomes you. So when this was happening to me, I decided that I must write a book because it's not only my experience, but then I said I must write a book on the complete encyclopedia of dance. And all this I was able to achieve in a matter of 5 years, I think. What can I say? Except for the grace of God and the grace of the Almighty who wanted me to do this. And that's how the journey started. And then I would like to explain to you how the mudras, how the mudras are connected. because your music, dance, and hastabhinaya, as we call it, the hand gestures, these three uh, cannot be separated. They have to be in the same line. So when I talk about the mudras, the human hand is the most evocative part of the body. Gods and goddesses, they speak to us through their hands. Varada Hasta of Mahavishnu, Abhaya Hasta of Shiva gives us the protection. Durga holds the Trishul in her hand, and Kama holds the arrows of flowers. Saraswati holds the four Vedas and the Veena in her hand and guarantees auspiciousness is Lakshmi, who holds the lotus. And the potters of today make their pots with their hand. And when they make their pots, the hands keep changing into different shapes. The hastas, we call it. And the painter, the artist, have their own way to spread colors on the canvas. It's all with the hand. So dance does not have speech, but the dance form is the most expressive one through the hands. And all these things which I mentioned, we as dancers, we can do all of it together. And imagine what a power and energy that you can experience when you're doing this. So when you have, but again, when you say the hand gestures, like you can use, I'll just show you an example of Tripataka. This is what we call it, Tripataka. So when I show this can mean so many things. This can also mean way through. This can mean a tree. This can also mean a peacock. You can use the hand gestures in different ways. And it's so beautiful. I mean, when you do it actually with your body and soul and mind, I think there is no other prayer required in this world to experience anything more. So then we come to and what you feel when you do this is a total sense of liberation, a Jivan Mukti. Like for example, you're dancing on Krishna, even a simple song like Krishnani Begane Baro. It is not Krishnani Begane Baro. It's not just calling Krishna like that. Come Krishna. It's not that. It is my feelings for that child who is a divine child, who the mother knows that this child is not a human child who is born out of my system. He is the universal aprameya. He is the divine celestial being who wants to come to you. And imagine the bhakti rasa that gets invoked in you. And the mother sees the whole world inside the mouth of the child. Still, she does not believe this is the divine being, because it's her love and her passion for him. And this kind of experience that the dancer feels day in and day out is incomparable. I cannot compare it to chanting. I cannot compare it to mantras. I cannot compare it to any meditation or anything. It is your channel to him, towards him, and with him. And thematically also, if you see like themes, I'm going to make it very quick. We're running out of time. So thematically also, the strength that gets involved, the strength from getting involved with the Deviga Purushas. The Deviga Purushas are the divine celestial bodies. And also Devis. Suppose when you're dancing on Durga, now I have to live that character. I have to bring that expression. and then I have to merge with her. It's not like acting. See, acting is somewhat different from dancing. Although I do act a lot, but I know the difference. Because when you're acting in a drama or even movies, you can cut short, you can cut the shots and make it perfect. But in dance, there has to be a flow. It has to flow as one unit with music and dance. And why we fail sometimes to experience that divinity is also partly due to lack of good musicians or the good singing abilities. They are good singers, but to sing for dance is a different experience because you have to look at the dancer and feel for her, feel and think, oh, what is she going to do next? Is she going to call Krishna, or is she going to express her motherly feeling, or is she going to show a feeling of jealousy? What is she going to do? The musician has to look at you, feel, and then sing. Then the music and dance come together to invoke this divinity. Otherwise, it will fall flat. Now we are using actually just one third of the movement, and the course Abhinaya Darpana in the Shastras make a mention of healing effects. Now, this is a very important point about the healing part. Because I don't know about, I can't speak for other dancers, but I can tell you about myself that when I restarted after 20 years, I was able to offload all my burden, all my tension, all my stress, just like that. And I felt so healed, so healed. I healed myself first because there was this craving, there was this longing to dance that was successful. And then I used my dance as a prayer, and I got this siddhi of healing from Goddess. And how dance is connected with divinity, I don't think you need any more proof than this, because that's how my purpose of life and living started. Because I said, if dance is giving me these healing powers, these healing abilities, then I should make use of it for others. So I connected dance and my purpose that is like passion and purpose. So definitely dance is the biggest healer. I mean, you may ask me that is there any age for that? I would say no, because you can start at any time. You don't have to be technically perfect, but if you have the passion and if you have the bhakti, if you have the devotion in you, I think dance is highly possible by anybody. Now, such a structure of dance, body, mind, and soul, becomes one within yourself. And when you hear the music and the rhythm, and the story, because the stories came later of the Devas and the Devis, all these combined together, it has to elevate your soul. There is no other way. I mean, you don't have to ask for it. Like, Ramana Maharishi says that even to desire for spiritual upliftment is a very big desire. You should not desire for it. It will happen. And I tell you, trust me, it happened to me. I don't know about elevation, but I can tell you my divinity, my spiritual evolution started with dance. Now I'll demonstrate a small piece for you, which is very interesting because when I talked about the feeling of sublimation, what is important is whatever the emotions may be. So the best part is to make yourself sublimate it to yourself. Sublimate it means make it divine. So now what I'm going to do is that show you one piece where this dancer, just 1 minute. Yeah. So here, the dancer is waiting, the devotee is waiting for Krishna to come back home. She's one of the gopis, or Radha, whatever you can call her. She's waiting for Krishna to come home, and she's so excited. But why did he come so late? It's the wee hours of the morning. And when he actually comes, she looks at his face and she's so disappointed because all the, the kajal and the makeup and everything is smeared on his face. Then she doubts that he must have gone to this other woman who also loves him. So she's very upset. So she calls her Sakhi and she says, look at him. Why has he come like this to my doorstep? Why all these things are smeared in his leg? And look at his sleepy eyes, which means he has not slept the whole night. What was he doing with this other woman? So this jealous maiden, she's so upset. So she says that she looks at Krishna, but she says, you made promises to me. You took vows with me, and this is what you do to me? Oh, Krishna, that is not fair. So he says, but what happens to her? The moment she goes into the moment of tragedy that she experiences, she says, oh my God, this is not Krishna. This is Padmanabha, who is residing, who is the ultimate God. Am I thinking about him this way? It is my layman's emotion, which is not fair. I think I have to sublimate this emotion and make it more divine and go merge with him. That is more like a devotee. I'll try my best to demonstrate. I hope you'll be able to see me properly. Thank you so much for being patient and watching this. I was only able to do this much on the Zoom, but maybe sometime live we can do much better. And that's what I said, that every emotion can be sublimated, and which will give peace, harmony, and the healing touch. This is universal, not just for you and me, for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasantha. That was wonderful. Are there any questions? Please put them on the chat. Any questions, anyone?
You have any personal questions? Can ask.
No. Anyone, any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask them, or put them on the chat, please. Okay, there is one from Anjana to all. Okay. I'll read them out. There's someone, Durga, who says, thank you. That was wonderful. There's someone else, Anjana, who says, could you please explain a little more about the chakras and emotions associated with each of them?
Yeah, chakra is a different subject altogether because it comes to the base chakra. The base chakra is your root, where you have your survival instincts. That is your base chakra. Then you have your solar plexus. That chakra brings out the ambition, sometimes the fear of survival, and also your achievement. And then you come to your third one, which is above the navel, where again you have the emotions of Raja Yoga, as you call it, that Rajas, all the Rajogunas. And then you have your heart, where you have your compassion, as I explained to you. Then you have your throat chakra, which gives you the wisdom. And then you come to your head chakra, not head, your forehead chakra, that gives you knowledge. After going through all these chakras, you come to the knowledge, and then you come to the head sahasra, which opens up, which liberates you. Then it means nothing ever touches you, because you don't care it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad or whatever, because you understand that this is what the life is going to be. That is the Sahasra Chakra, where you attain the Jivan Mukti. I will have a separate talk for these chakras, because they are very important and very deep in subject.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Now, Vijay would like to ask you a question. Vijay, please ask her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Yes.
Vijay?
Hi, Vasantha. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
No, I don't know if she can hear me.
Vasantha, can you hear Vijay?
Who is?
It's Beena.
Okay, let me just put this on. Yeah, tell me.
You can hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, kind of.
Speak a little louder. Okay, I'll try and speak louder.
Yeah.
From what you said, it appears that dance is much more than a mere art form. It seems to be a form of devotion. It must have grown out of, similar to yoga. Yoga is a sort of like a connection to the divine. Similarly, dance could be also something in the same.
Yeah, see, yoga, dance is even more than yoga, because dance involves a lot of music, rhythm, mathematics. There's a lot of mathematics in this. So when we actually do a choreography, even your steps and adavas and all that, we have a permutation combination, which is like, you can have your talams, your tal is there, then your tal has to be calculated in a proper way and executed by your feet in a certain way. So it is a wholesome kind of an exercise. English is not the language to express all this, but I must tell you that it is a full on, it's a full in totality. That's what you feel. It's a total experience. It's not just yoga, because yoga you do breathe. You do breathe. So, but when you do your breathing, it just improves your oxygen. Here, it's not just the oxygen, but it's also something else. It's an energy. It's a force of energy that flows.
Thank you.